Hello everyone, my name is Neil and welcome back to my channel. Go grab your makeup items and do your makeup as I'm doing my makeup and we are talking about characters in the anime and TV shows. Just recently I've watched the new movie of anime Demon Slayer. This anime is really dear and special to me because when I started to watching it, I was in a very miserable situation. I was really depressed and I couldn't even move to do anything. I was just lying down, um, trying to keep it together. So this anime really helped me to get through that phase, and it was really sad, but I think somehow Tanjiro's trauma and the situation that he had gone through somehow helped me to get out of that dark and deep black nasty situation that I was in it. I'm not a kind of a girl who is rooted for the heroes or morally good characters. I always love the very complicated villain or gray characters. I think they are more interesting and there is so much depth in them. But there is something about this anime that hits a little deeper, than just the battle of between good and evil. And it's really interesting to me, and I was really thinking, what is so special about this anime that I love it this much. And I think we got to that situation to realize that the pattern of the anime, most of the animes have that kind of a pattern to it that you can just see and understand, oh, this is the pattern that I will watch. Sometimes they will surprise you, but mostly it's the same pattern every episode. I think one of the patterns that we can see in the Demon Slayer is that every time that the characters encounter with the demons, we see their backstory, and their backstory is mostly, let's say, most of the times, like 90% of the time, is really tragic, and they make you to feel about them. So I was thinking, like, why do they do that, and why it's not getting boring for me, at least. I think it's still something very interesting for so many people to keep up with it, and they are still watching it and they don't want to know what happens to this character, right? So even though the pattern is really the same, and we know that every time that they want to kill a demon, they are going to we are going to see very sad and dramatic backstory. So why do we keep watching it, and what is so interesting about this show? And I think I have an idea about this when I was watching the last movie. I think it's the fact that these scary monsters were once human beings, and they are in this state because they are hurt, or they were hurt, or something happened when they were in their normal life, in their human form. So what is so interesting is that we start the anime with the backstory of Tanjiro, the main character, and we know that he had a very tragic and sad situation. He almost lost his family members. I'm so sorry, I don't want to spoil it. These all happens in the first episode. I'm not gonna spoil anything more than the first episode. Maybe we just talk about another character that is in the last movie, but everything between is completely untouched in this video, so don't worry about spoilers. So as I said, we know that Tanjiro has this very traumatic situation and he's hurt and he loses his family and his life is shattered in front of him, and one of his family members even turns into a demon, right? But something that is really interesting about Tanjiro is that although he goes through all of those things, it feels like he doesn't break. Somehow, he never let his heart turn cold, you know? He's always there for other people. He's so cheerful and adoring and loving, and people love him so much, and he is so hopeful about everything. And even when he fights with demons, he still says the good side of the demon. I think something that makes Tanjiro really interesting, even in his world, is that the other characters can understand that the different pattern that he is carrying with himself, other than the other demon slayers or Hashiras. It's not like that he is forgetting his pain or he doesn't care about the thing that had happened, but somehow he carries his pain, but it doesn't turn him in to a monster. He is a seal there trying to taking care of her sister. Even though it's not like that he is always sunshine and flowers with the demons, when it comes to do the job done, he is ruthless and he does what he must do. And I really like that about Tanjiro. I don't think that he is too kind in situations that he shouldn't. I think he knows his feelings well, and when it comes to dealing with demons, he knows when to be harsh and heartless, and when to be merciful and somehow caring and understanding. And then on the other contrast, we have Akaza. He is the demon. He is on the other side of the spectrum. In the last movie, we realized about his backstory, and it's as sad as you possibly can imagine. I don't want to go into the details. I don't know, maybe you should skip this part. But if you have watched the anime so far, you know the pattern well, that they all had very difficult childhood. And Akaza is the same too, you know, he is not out of the loop, you know, he's not out of the pattern. He's well in the pattern with the other characters, and he has a very, very difficult life. He loses his family members, and he turns into a lonely kid with so much grief, so much with so much grief, so much betrayal, and I think one thing that makes him so different with Tanjiro is that he doesn't know how to control his feelings, and he realizes if you still be angry, you can cope with your problem easier. It's like, anger is the easier solution to try to understand your emotions and untangle your emotion as well. Struggling with your emotions is really difficult and unsettling. It's like something that you need so much energy to do. I always adored Tanjiro for that, because it was something that I couldn't do back then when I was struggling with depression. And I think uh, Akaza couldn't just keep up doing those things, and he couldn't, just fight with his anger and the things that he was struggling with. So he let darkness to take him over. And I think one of the things that is really hurtful about um, this TV show is the contrast that we see every time between Tanjiro and the other characters who turn into uh, demons. The contrast is not that much. It's not like black and white, good people versus um, bad people. I think they're not opposite of each other. Tanjiro and the other characters who let their, you know, kind of dark and sad feelings take over them. I think one thing that is really interesting about this show is that we can see different versions of people, and we can see what pain can do to us. They are a reflection of that kind of image of, like, if there is pain, what will happen to us? What are the options? And how can we deal with them, or how can we let ourselves into that pain and feeling and dark feeling? And it's really interesting that when it comes to the show, we see, that, oh, they are Hashiras, they are good people, they are doing this, they are doing that. So interesting, so cool, such a lovely characters. But as we go deep into the situation that is happening to them, it's more like we realize that, oh my god, how hurt these people are, and how they are sad, mad, angry, they're frustrated, they've gone through horrible things, and now they're still carrying, life. And you realize that both people suffered so much. They both suffered so much from life. One group somehow chose to do the right thing and hold on to love, maybe, and the other one just got drained and sunk into anger. And I really love this kind of a theme for this show, that they're talking about, like, what anger can do to you if you can control it. One of the things that I really love about Demon Slayer is, like, they don't ask you the question like, who's the bad guy, who's the good guy. You don't get into the feeling of, oh, I should love this character because they are, let's say, the good character, or I should hate this character because they are the bad one. Even people have feelings for the other characters, the bad ones. You can love everyone that you want. You can sort of relate to any character. Maybe this is the better definition and putting it into words. You can relate to any character that you want, and no one can say, oh, that person is pure evil. No, they probably gone through something. That's why they are the way that they are. And I sometimes ask myself, what would happen if Tanjiro would give in, if he would, get into a situation that he has to get in and fall for that anger that he has toward Muzan. He still is mad at Muzan. It's not something that we say, oh yeah, he doesn't care. No, he still hates that man, and he has every right to be angry at him. And I sometimes think, what happens? What happens if he lets that anger takes him? What would you think about that? How would it turn? Would it be something that you would watch and root for, or you prefer to still see him as the kind person that you are seeing now? In the end, I don't think that any of these characters were born doomed. They were born to be evil. Even sometimes I think, what would happen if I was Muzan, what path I would choose. And I really like to know your opinion about that. So feel free to write your comments down below. I don't think that I'm strong enough to resist into really long suffering. I think eventually I would give in, like no matter how people try to talk me out of it. I think if I still I think if I stay in a very, very difficult situation, I would give in. I don't think that I'm strong like Tanjiro. Maybe that was something that made me to getting out of depression. Maybe I wanted to be him. When I watched it, I was like, oh hell yes, if he could get through those situations and those things that happen, I could too. But now I'm not sure if I could continue doing that. Life is really ruthless and merciless, and I don't think that I am a really strong person to do that. But maybe that's something about Tanjiro too, like you don't think about it like that, but you still kind of want to be like him, to be that forgiving and kind and strong. And he's always on the opposite of the situations, and I really adore him so much. I also did this makeup look. I don't know if you can see. I was thinking if I was a character in Demon Slayer, how I would look like, and I think this is the look that I had. I got inspired by traditional Japanese makeup. I really love these red circles here and here, and I don't think that I did a great job, but I thought if I could be in the TV show, I would look like this, very red with black contrast, like red and black would be my color. So yeah, this is it. Thank you so much for being here, listening to me yapping. I really want to know your comments about the characters. Do you think that you're strong enough? Is there any character that you root for? For me, it's mostly Akaza and Tanjiro. Also, Gyu is really relatable to me too. And I love the show so much. I love the Hashiras, the Demon Slayers. I love the demons. And I think this is a very well written anime, and also the graphics is really perfect. It's really pleasing to watch all of those beautiful fight scenes. I think they did a fantastic job on that. And yes, if you have any other anime or characters or things that you think that I can do, please feel free to suggest in the in the comments down below. And yeah, thank you so much for watching me. And yeah, this is my makeup of the day. So take care. See you next time. Goodbye.